nation. Hebrew kingdom building.
So Moshe came out. That's Mem, Shem, Lamed. I told y'all before, it's about the nations being pressed by the shepherd. It's about the nations being pressed by the shepherd, right? Because we know that's what a ruler, governor, that's why it means dominion. It's about the nations it's about having dominion, Moshe. Do y'all know when the revelation came out to the apostles in Acts chapter 2, after they started speaking tongues of fire, you know what happened? They gathered together with like-minded people and they went and just had dominion on the earth. That's what happened after that. So it's interesting that this revelation came out. The leaders of the seven assemblies were called Moshe. That means the nations being pressed by the shepherd. But I want to actually show y'all another way to look at this as well, okay? So if y'all weren't paying attention before, please pay attention now. This is also, we know that the Mem means water. It also means a multitude of people. This can be like two teeth, to consume, to chew on, to discern, to split. This also, I submit, has a connotation of teeth like for a till in the ground. Interesting, somebody saw that till in the ground like a ox pulling the teeth that tills the ground to plant seed in it. So for splitting things in half, tilling, mixing things up, consuming, cutting, etc., dividing, that whole idea. And then we know Lamed is the shepherd, a staff. So this also has a connotation, Moshe, of the splitting of the waters by the staff.
Oh, snap.
Y'all see what I'm saying here? It's all in the word. I don't see how I didn't see that at first. It's about the splitting of the waters by the staff. The splitting of the waters is about us being separate from the nations. It's about us being set apart from the nations. Just to bring it home, this is Revelation 17, verse 1. Then one of the seven Malachim who had the seven bowls. Go ahead, Benayahu, give that to me. Does he have a mic? Revelation 17:1 on the screen.
Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. Then one of the seven Malachim who had the seven bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot, who sits on many waters."
Who sits on what?
Many waters.
Okay, now we're skipping to verse 15. It's going to explain to you what the waters mean. It's in Revelation now. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Then he said to me, "The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples."
Are what?
Peoples.
What?
People.
What else?
Multitudes.
What else?
Nations.
And what else?
And tongues.
Say that last part again.
And tongues.
One more time.
Tongues.
So that means the Mem can also be about the splitting up of tongues.
Oh, wow.
The splitting up of languages. Y'all see this?
Come on now.
Moshe. Splitting the waters. I need y'all to pay attention, y'all. So going back, Yahuwah gave us the understanding of what the Mem means. Because when you talk about the multitudes, the nations, it's also tongues. It's also tongues. Let's keep going. So we see Moshe is also closely associated with Moshe or Moshe. Interesting that the Most High gave Malek Moshe or Moshe as his name. It's not that new anymore, but that's his name. But Moshe, the leader of Israel during the time of the Mitzrayim captivity, whatever you want to call it, the leader of Israel during the book of Exodus. We'll just say that for right now. We don't got to get too technical on that right now because it's not too significant to the point I'm making. So when you see Moshe or Moshe, it's also about the splitting up of waters. It's also about the splitting up, the separating of waters by the wind. By the ruach, by the wind. Y'all get what I'm saying? The separating of waters by the wind is also giving you the connotation of it's the separating of waters so that the earth can be revealed. It's also about the separating of water. It's about the splitting of the sea. The splitting of the sea so that the earth can be revealed. So that the people of the earth can be revealed, in a sense. That the earth can be revealed. But it can't be revealed until the seas that are covering it and hiding, and they're hiding the hidden ones, is split. Right. Then you have the sons of men being revealed. The sons of who? Men. The sons of men. Why do Yahushua keep calling himself the son of man? Son of man, son of man. Son of Adam. Adam, the earth. Adama. Right. Son of man, do this. Son of man, do that. Ezekiel came out and he was son of man, son of man. Yahushua said, I'm the son of man. That's what he called himself. See, we look at the English and we just think son of man. No, he's saying son of Adam. Creation is groaning. Creation is groaning for what? The revelation of the sons of men to come out. The sons of Adam, though. And so the waters, you see Moshe is the splitting of the seas so that it's when you split the nations, when you split their tongues, when the nations start to separate, when the nations are going into disarray, when they start to separate, all of a sudden you start seeing the sons of men being revealed. Right. All right, let's keep going. So Moshe also means drawn out of water. Now, what a lot of people will tell you, especially in the scholarly realms, they'll say that Moshe is an Egyptian name. They'll say that Moshe is an Egyptian name. They say that Moshe is not well, they won't say that it's not a Hebrew name, but they're saying it subtly by saying that it's an Egyptian name. I actually don't believe. I would just say I beg to differ. That's not important. I don't believe that. But I could be wrong. That's not important. All right. But it also means to draw out of water, right? So we see here that this is a nice little AI artwork depicting Moshe being drawn out of water. Baby Moshe, oh, I don't want to see his forehead here. Oh, y'all zoomed in too hard. That's all you see is his forehead. But in Shemot chapter 2, verse 10, this is where the word Moshe came from. Go ahead and read that.
Exodus chapter 2, verse 10. And the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. So she called his name Moshe, saying, because I drew him out of the water.
Because I what?
Drew him out of the water.
Yo, how is that Egyptian when that's literally a part of the Hebrew breakdown?
God, that's real.
It's literally about separating something out of the waters. The waters being separated so something will be revealed. Right. Something being separated from waters. So how is that an Egyptian name? Well, it's in the Hebrew breakdown. Maybe somebody may have an explanation though. I'm just saying though, how? Maybe it's Hebrew and Egyptian. They are related to each other. But this is showing that Moshe's name was always surrounding being split or separated from the waters. Moshe is definitely a Hebrew name. So it's interesting that interesting that Benayahu had saw a waterfall, and he saw the oil dripping down on the staff. I was like, man, that was the waterfall. That was very interesting because you know, oil has the same connotation. Oil is all about separating the waters too, isn't it? Oil, did anybody ever talk about how oil and water don't mix? Oil and water don't mix, oil and water don't mix.
Yeah.
When you put oil in water, what does it do? It separates from the water.
That's right.
It's about being separate from the nations.
Man.
It's about being set apart from the nations, from the water. Yeah, y'all know we can't make this up. Come on, y'all get it? I see some people looking like, huh? Okay, I'm gonna go even slower. So when someone is anointed by oil, that gives them that's them being set apart for a work. This is according to the scriptures. When somebody is set apart in Kodesh, it's set apart for a special work for Yahuwah, they what? Get anointed by oil.
Right.
That's solidifying them as being separate, holy, Kodesh. Meaning that they cannot, if you are anointed, you have to be separate from what? The ways of the nations, the water.
Right, yeah, right.
Man, this stuff wild, man. This stuff is wild. Go ahead.
Just real quick, so the last part of that vision was us being all amongst the nations, but being set apart in our own provinces. That was the last part of that vision.
I forgot about that part, man. Say it one more time.
So the last part of that vision was being amongst the entire, all the nations on the whole planet, but being set apart in our own provinces, in our own regions.
Oil and water, man. Y'all be going in y'all jobs and y'all looking just like that. Standing out. Kodesh. Man. Separate from the nations. You there. But you just, oil and water don't mix. Don't everybody, ain't that some people used to always say? I know grandma and them used to say that. You be trying, I don't remember that one. Man, you see it. You be in your job place, and you just standing out. You're not mixing. You can try too. You try to fit in, especially the people at school or the jungle. You're at school, oil and water. You want to fit in. You want to be liked, and you're trying, and it's just not working. It don't work. Because oil and water don't mix. It's not going to work. You're going to be, because you've been anointed, you set apart. If you made it this far, you were anointed by Yahuwah. There was one time when the whole assembly was anointed one time. But yeah, that's what Dawood was saying. The oil always rises to the top though.
Yeah.
So you do. So now let's see if we can see, let's see what the Hebrew word for oil is. Let's see if there may be anything we can draw from that. No pun intended. No pun intended. Y'all notice that the Hebrew word for oil is shemin. Alright. Or semen or something like that, you know. But focus. Y'all notice it's not in the same order. So remember we talked about this hundreds of times. When you see words with the same letters, they're related to each other. You see the mem sheen, just like musha and mushal in there. It's about separating the water. You see that? And then you have the seed. So really it's about a seed who presses the nations. It's about a seed who presses the nations. What do they call Yahusha? The anointed one, which means Mashiach.
Right,
Which means Mashiach is the same, it's the mem sheen in that too. It's about being anointed with oil. That's what Mashiach means.
Right.
And Yahusha is all about pressing the nations. We know that. It's about the seed that splits water. It's about the seed that splits water. We know that the oil is made. Usually this word shemin is talking about usually primarily olive oil. We know that olive is basically a seed. It's a, it houses a big seed. It's more. It's pretty much for most olives is almost more seed than anything. And so it's about a seed that splits water. It's about oil, because we know that oil splits water. You know what I'm saying? So you see that, I'm just saying, you see that even in the Hebrew word for oil. That makes sense? Mashiach. Mashiach, I know, is very similar to Mashal or Musha. And so you see the very similar, you see the mem sheen in there as well. It's about the nations being crushed by the arm of Yahuwah within the gates. So it's about the nations being crushed by the arm of Yahuwah within the gates. So whenever we look at Mashiach, the anointed one, you know that he's about crushing the nations. So that's why it was a big deal when even when you read the Brit Hadashah, when they said, "Oh, Yahusha, that's HaMashiach. He's the anointed one. That's him." What do they expect? They expected him automatically. When you give him that title, that means, oh, he's the one appointed to crush all the nations for us.
Right.
And restore the kingdom. That's what they expected. If he's the Mashiach, oh no, that's what he's going, that's the one. And so you see that in the word. You see that in the word. All right. So the word Musha, we see it's about being drawn out of water. You see that even in the word Musha, and it's even in when he was named. When he was named, see, and I also think they because I think they believe Musha was an Egyptian name because I guess they're saying because the pharaohs named him. I guess the pharaoh's daughter, but we don't really know who actually named him. Let's read this. And the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. Who is she who brought him to Pharaoh's daughter?
Right.
See what I'm saying? And he became her son. So she called his name Moses, saying, because I drew him out of water. Who called his name that? Yeah. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty clear to me. Because one thing you can't get away with is the Hebrew letters.
Right.
You can't get away with that from that. It is clear that the drawn out of water, you see it even in the letters of that name, Musha. And so that's why they called him that. Let's keep going. All right. Now we're looking at Shemot 14, verse 21. Go ahead and read that.
Yes, sir. Exodus chapter 14, verse 21. Then Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and Adonai caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided.
And the waters were what?
Divided.
So what caused the sea to turn into dry land?
The wind.
Isn't that in the word named Musha? Look. It's about the separating of waters by what? The wind. By the Ruach. That's in his name. It's right there in the scriptures. And that's exactly what Yahuwah did. And he did it through the leadership of who? Musha. His name was prophetic. All kind of prophecy in his name. That the Most High was going to use him to separate the waters by what? The wind. All right, let's keep going. Genesis chapter 1. Let's read this. Read along, Mishpaka. Read along, Mishpaka.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 6. Then Elohim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters.
Oh, okay. So this is talking about waters being divided, right?
Yes, sir.
Remember in Genesis 14, an east wind came out that night and made the sea into dry land. And then it says, and the waters were? So that was happening in the Exodus when Yahuwah split the sea. But it's interesting that you can go all the way back to the creation week in Genesis 1 and see the same principle implemented by Yahuwah. He said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from what? The waters. Okay, now this is now I want y'all to pay close attention to this, of what the dividing, how significant the dividing of the waters is. This is in the word Mushah, this is in the word Musha, this is in the word Mashiach. The list goes on and on and on. Dividing of the waters. Verse 7.
Verse 7. Thus Elohim made the firmament.
So Yahuwah made Rakia, that's the firmament, to divide the waters. Rakia literally is simply an abode where man can actually live in and dwell in. So he split the waters so that man can dwell, in a sense. So thus Elohim made the firmament to divide the waters, which what? Which were under the firmament, from the waters which were
above the firmament.
So you got now you got a division, a distinction that's being made. You have some waters that were divided one place and some waters that were divided to another place. So then Yahuwah named the different waters. Let's see what he named them. And Elohim called the firmament
Shamayim.
So the Arab and the Boker were the second day. So this was day 2, okay? This was day 2, but you notice this is the only day that he didn't say was through. Day 2. When the waters were separated by the waters from the waters, he didn't say it was through. The only day he didn't say it was through. Then verse 9, let's see what happens.
Verse 9. Then Elohim said, let the waters under the Shamayim be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear.
Oh, so it wasn't until now you see the dry land appearing. Now you see the earth appearing. Because the waters just being divided from the waters, you still didn't have earth showing yet. You see what I'm saying? So man still wasn't going to be able to maintain without earth there. You see the significance now when Yahuwah decided to judge the earth?
Yes.
That he judged it with water? The first time in Noah, you see the significance of that now? He's like he reversed what he did in day 3.
Right.
And made it to where there was no earth no more. It's just all water like it was during the creation week in the beginning before day 3. That he said wasn't through. He made the second day all over again.
Right.
So where all you had was Rakia, and then you had Shamayim above, Shamayim below. Amayim below. That was it. No earth. So Noah was basically just in Rakia in that ark. No earth nowhere. Let's keep going. Verse 9.
Verse 9. Then Elohim said, let the waters under the Shamayim be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so.
What did he call the dry land?
Verse 10. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas.
Woo.
And Elohim saw that it was through.
Now it's through. Now it's through. Because he gathered the waters for the seas together, but you also had a gathering in the Shamayim though too. Oh. There was also a gathering in the Shamayim too.
Right, that's right. Under the Shamayim together.
So all the waters isn't the other nations. You have a Kodesh nation. That's of the Shamayim.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But then you have all the rest of the nations that are in covenant with the marine kingdom. How long I told y'all that?
Long time.
For years, ever since the revelation came out through Melech Yahusha about the marine kingdom. We talked about this many of times, is how all the nations except Yahuwah's nation is in covenant with the marine kingdom. Yahuwah separated the waters from the waters. The waters below he called the seas, and the waters above the firmament he called Shamayim. That's us, the people of the Shamayim. So you have us, and you have the rest of the nations. That's why all the beasts in Revelation were coming out of where? They were always coming out of the seas. That was established in Genesis 1. Yahuwah literally, when we be reading scriptures, but we read it, but we don't really read it. We say he declares the end from the beginning. We just think that's a through saying. Yahuwah, he declares the end from the beginning. Yeah, he declared the end from the beginning. Not realizing that he literally did. You can read Genesis 1 and you can see he declared the end from the beginning from Genesis 1. It's a prophetic about the end times, about the separation between the wheat and the tares, between the Kodeshim and the nations. You see all that in there. You even, you see the water and the fire. You see being baptized with water and fire. You see all that in the beginning. All right, anyway, let's keep going. But it's about the dividing of the waters to reveal Adam. It's about the dividing of the waters to reveal Adam, to reveal the earth. Adam was then created from the land that was revealed from the separation. That's what happened in the next chapter, right? Adam was then created from the land that was revealed from that separation of the waters in day 3. And what does 3 represent? And so Adam, so it was day 3 when the land came up. That's a resurrection. The land was covered by the waters. Right. When the land was buried, and the land came up out of dry. That's resurrection in a sense. The land came up out of, was split by the waters was split so that the land could appear. And then Adam was created from the land that was revealed. After the waters are split, the people of Yahuwah are revealed. Right. After the waters are split, that's how the people of Yahuwah are revealed. The nations go. Why do you think Yahushua said, man, in the end times, nation is going to go against nation, kingdom is going to go against kingdom, and then that's when the things will be revealed. Let's keep going. So the land that appeared is the word is Eretz. So the land that appeared, the Hebrew word for that is Eretz. When in day 3, when Yahuwah split the waters from the waters to let dry land appear, that word for land is Eretz. So that's a Aleph, Resh, and that's a Sadi. Aleph, Resh, Sadi. Okay? It's basically a stronghold of Yahuwah and his heads. You know, Sadi means a stronghold. It could mean a stronghold. It could mean a hunting, things like that. Sadi's not used a lot, so y'all might not remember the Sadi. It could mean a stronghold, a weapon, hunting, different things like that. It's the stronghold of Yahuwah and his heads. That's why it was a big deal when the waters were separated so that dry land could appear. Land was designed to be a stronghold for Yahuwah's people. Right. It's interesting that it's a stronghold of Yahuwah and his heads. Land is. We are designed, that's why Yahuwah raised us up to have dominion on Eretz. Because Eretz, the land, is supposed to be the place for us to have dominion on Eretz, on the land. It's a stronghold for Yahuwah and his heads. Y'all still following? All right. So looking at a couple of things here. Joshua chapter 3, let's read, that's a lot, so let's start at verse, okay, I'm going to skim through this, y'all read along. Joshua chapter 3, and it shall come to pass as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests who bear the ark of Yahuwah of all the earth shall rest in the waters of the Jordan, that the waters of the Jordan shall be cut off, the waters that come down from upstream, and they shall stand as a heap. Verse 14, so it was when the people set out from their camp to cross over the Jordan with the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people. And as those who bore the ark came to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests who bore the ark dipped in the edge of the water, for the Jordan overflows all its banks during the whole time of harvest, that the waters which came down from upstream stood still and rose in a heap very far away at... What? Y'all see this? This is in the book of Joshua. This is right after, this is literally the beginning of Joshua. This is chapter 3. This is right after they crossed over the land. And let's see what happens after Adam is mentioned. What is Adam? Adam is the city that is beside Zeratan. So what happened at Adam? So the waters that went down into the sea of the Arabah and the Salt Sea failed and were cut off, and the people crossed over opposite Jericho. This is chapter 3, y'all. This is when they finally cross over into the promised land. Then the priests who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah stood firm on what? In the midst of the Jordan. And all Israel crossed over on what? Until all the people had crossed completely over the Jordan. That's how they got into the promised land. And you see the scriptures mention Adam in the midst of all that. It seems like it's just obscure, you know, in Adam, a little city by Zeratan. No, that's on, no, the Ruach does stuff like that on purpose. No, he's trying to throw a hint at you. Adam. This is about man. This is about the ground being revealed. This is about resurrection. This is about what happened on day 3 when I split the water so that dry land will appear. And so, and we also saw when the Israelites crossed over into freedom, Yahuwah split the waters again, the waters from the water so that dry land will appear, right? They were able to cross over. Moshe is also about, so Moshe is about the splitting of waters by the wind. So that's what happened when they crossed over, when they left Egypt. But Moshe is also about the nations being pressed, right? It's about the waters being pressed. And so what happened after they crossed over, the waters literally, or the nations were literally pressed, right? That's right. Yahuwah let the waters come back and it what? Destroyed Egypt, all the Egyptians. That's right. Now it's time to go into the promised land. Now it's time for them to go and oppress the nations even more, because now they finna go against Jericho. This is the second generation. They ready. But understand that Jericho was a fortified city that's been there established for hundreds of years by this time. Right. Battle hardened, battle tested, ready. And they had Joshua as their leader, so they was through. Because Joshua didn't care about none of that. We're going to figure out something. We're going to figure it out. We don't know. That's like, man, look, a fortified city back then, that's like going against somebody who got tanks, bombs and guns, and you got slingshots. And you just being like, well, Yahuwah said we're going to take them, son. I know how I look, y'all, but Yahuwah going to do something. We're going to go. Let's go. Let's go. Like, seriously, man. Yeah, like declaring, yeah. That's basically what they did. When you read the whole story, we ain't going to get into that, but yeah, they won by declaring. Yahuwah said, okay, why do you think Yahuwah said that? They didn't have everything what they needed to fight them carnally or physically. So Yahuwah said, no, walk around the city 7 times, blow the trumpets, declare. And then Yahuwah defeated them. Yahuwah, all the walls came falling down. You know, so that was their main defense. They can't do nothing with the walls down. Because these are Israelites, you know what I'm saying? They're way more athletic, they're stronger. And they got Yahuwah on their side. So they was able to, once the wall fell down, oh, they threw. They was able to go in. It's just like you go against the other nations without all the bombs and guns and all that. They're not nothing without that. Because when you talk about a fortified wall, y'all, you're talking about, man, leverage. You're talking about everything. They can get all their archers lined up on the top of that wall, man. They just go in and you can't do nothing to them. They too high. You can't really hit them and they can just rain on you all day. It seemed like it was no chance with that wall like that. Yahuwah was like, walk around the city 7 times. Could y'all imagine that? I'm telling you, it's a shift in mindset, man. And everybody listen to Joshua and move. Okay, let's do it. Hallelujah. Man. Moshe say something like that today. Man, they got guns and stuff. What? Walk around. He said, walk around the city 7 times and blow the shofar. Man, oh no, man, you trying to get us all towed up, man. That's probably how that first. That's probably how that first generation would have did. But the Most High had them to where they were at a point where they was ready. They were just like, let's do this, and they did it. That's a different level of immunity right there, man. All right, 2 Kings chapter 2. Go ahead and read this. This is 2 Kings chapter 2 in the story of Elisha, which was associated with Elijah. Well, go ahead.
2 Kings chapter 2, verse 14. Then he took the mantle of Elijah that had fallen from him, and struck the water and said, where is the Adon Eluah of Elijah? And when he had also struck the water, it was divided this way and that. And Elisha crossed over.
What did Elisha do?
Crossed over.
Y'all see this? Yeah, even in the story surrounding Elijah and Elisha, the waters got divided even then. See, I gotta understand, y'all, that these all happened during times of major transition. These all happened in times of major transition. When it was time to move, they moved. When it was time to look, Yahuwah had them leave Egypt. Yahuwah told them, hey, go. It was the middle of the night. Go now, go now. They left. They brought their children. They ran. They did they were moving in obedience. But then after they moved in obedience, they get to the waters. And they stuck. Yahuwah purposely sent them to the waters where they were stuck. And you had the whole military coming after them of Egypt. You know, Egypt was the most powerful nation in the world at this time. Chariots, everything, coming full speed. And so they were scared. That's when they first started murmuring. And then that's when Yahuwah split the sea and they moved forward. It was a transition, y'all, from bondage into freedom. But they had to move, they had to go when he said go, in order to get to that point. That's why it's important, y'all. We're in a transition point right now. Many of y'all are. Many of y'all are. And I know it's scary. I know it's a lot of unknown. It's a lot of things like that. It's a lot of things that we're not going to understand. Yahuwah's going to tell you stuff and it's not going to make sense. People going to think you crazy. People going to think you foolish, for real. You're going to be worried about with your family members, but you know Yahuwah told you to do this, and so you just got to do it. This transition period is going to be uncomfortable. A lot of uncomfortabilities, a lot of things you're not used to, a lot of things you haven't really experienced before as far as circumstances. And you gotta just trust Yahuwah and move. You might run up on the seas and be like, man, there ain't no, oh snap, everything caving in, everything coming down. You, I know I heard, right? Most High. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, the Most High waited till like the nick of time before he split the seas. It looked like all odds was against them. And he waited until they was full speed, running up on them full speed. And then he split the seas. And I know there was some stuff he done in between. He put the cloud in between them. Because if he didn't do that, they would have just overtaken them. Man. And then when they tried to follow the Israelites on dry ground, once the Israelites were on dry ground, they had dominion, didn't they? Sir. What happened when they tried to follow them? They vehicles start breaking. They had tanks and everything. I know they didn't have tanks, but get what I'm saying. They had the technology and everything, but it wouldn't work once they got on their soil. Right. Once they got on the Israelite soil, on the ground, Yahuwah literally set apart waters for them. They couldn't even dry. Their chariots was getting stuck. They actually was. I think they were. If I remember right, I think they were trying to talk about turning around. Yeah. It was too late though. As you're moving in obedience, the people you're worried about, the enemies of Yahuwah, the enemies, they may try to come at you. They may try to even follow you, hoping on your downfall. And every weapon and tool that they would try to come at you with is not going to prosper. It's going to falter and break down, just like the jacket with the Mitzrites. As long as you're moving in obedience. You can be scared. You can be a little fearful. But move in obedience. Move in obedience. All right. So then when it was time to cross over into the promised land, it was a major transition time. It was time now to go and take the land Yahuwah set apart for them. Right now we're in a situation where the Most High is like, I have set apart land for you. Go and take it. Go and get it. Go out. Go over there. Move there. Y'all, the Israelites, y'all, they were actually pretty through, generally speaking, in the wilderness. Everything was provided for them. Manna every day. You know, they had everything they needed. Yahuwah blessed them the way even the clothes was. They didn't have to worry about clothes, nothing. Now it's time. Oh man, now it's time to cross over the promised land, and we're gonna have to go to war with these powerful nations. But also, we're gonna have to learn how to now provide for ourselves. Now, y'all know what they had to. Y'all read the book of Joshua when you get a chance, but that's when they had to learn how to farm. They had to learn how to grow their own food. The manna ceased as soon as they crossed over. Y'all read Joshua chapter 4. The manna ceased as soon as they crossed over. And they had to learn how to plant their own food. They grow their own food. Alright. Y'all keep that in mind. No, they ain't had no aquaponics. Water faucets. They had to figure this stuff out, man. They had to figure this stuff out. Wasn't no water flowing out the rock no more. They had to dig their wells and get that stuff going. 7-Eleven, Mickey D's, none of that. All right, so what was Adam's job, y'all, when he was in the Garden of Eden? That's true. And what else? Right, and what else? That's right, and what else? Wait, somebody, I heard over there. Say it, Eliyahu. Jaleel, you say it. Go ahead. There we go. That's the word. All y'all were right, but that's the one I was looking for. So, Adam, and just for those who didn't hear, she said name the animals. Adam, his job at Torah Eden, his job was to give names to all the cattle, to the birds of the air, to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helper comparable to him. So that came up when his job was mentioned about giving names. Giving names. What's the word for names in Hebrew? Oh, snap. That's the Shem meme. Shem. Shemot is just Shem plural. But the root word for names is Shem. That's Shem, that's the Shem mem, that's the splitting of the waters too. It's just like Mushal and Musha and all the other Mashiach, all the words we just been looking at. Shemin for oil. Adam's job was to Shem people. The word Shem is literally about separating from the nations. It's literally about separating from the nations. This is about splitting the waters. This is about separating the waters from the waters. His job was to Shem. Oh snap, it's interesting that the Kodesh people of Yahuwah come from the line of Shem. We know Shem because he made it on the ark when Yahuwah judged the nations by water. The word Shem literally means, the breakdown is to be separate, set apart from the waters. Or to split the waters. The word Shem is also about splitting the languages. Remember we talked about that? Because the waters also has a people's tongue and tongues, nations and tongues, and languages. So maybe the original language, that's why it was preserved through Shem. The original language of Adam and Eve was preserved through Shem. Let's go to Genesis 11. Oh, you're already there, huh? Genesis 11. Y'all there, Genesis 11? All right, let's do verse 1 through 10. Let's get it.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
So the whole earth had one language at first, but then didn't Yahuwah do something? Didn't he split the waters? Split the languages? Oh snap. So when Yahuwah split the sea in Genesis 1, in Exodus out of Mitzrayim, in Joshua, when they went into the promised land, that wasn't the only times he did that, huh? Because when he split the languages, this is splitting the sea too.
Right.
But let's read it. Let's go. So everybody was on one language. Verse 3.
Verse 3. And they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the Shamayim. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the whole face of the earth.
Let's make a what?
A name.
Ooh, a Shem. So this whole thing was about them trying to make a name for themselves. See, Adam, his job was to give the names to all the animals, to make those things, to establish those things. They said they want to make a name for themselves.
Crafty counts.
Man. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we what?
Be scattered.
Lest we what? Say it over the mic.
Lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth.
They didn't want to be scattered. They didn't want to be they didn't want to cover the earth because the waters covered the earth. And Yahuwah, see, Yahuwah made a distinction. He gathered the waters from the waters. They ain't want to be. They ain't want that. Keep going.
But Yahuwah came down to see verse 5. But Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahuwah said, indeed the people are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down there and confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahuwah scattered them abroad from there over the face of the whole earth.
Yep.
And they ceased building the city.
And they ceased building the city. Keep going.
Verse 9. Therefore its name is called Babel, because there Yahuwah confused the language of all the earth. And from there Yahuwah scattered them abroad over the face of the whole earth.
This is about a rest. This is about a rest. The stronghold of Yahuwah and his heads. A rest. And look at verse 10. What does it go right into? The genealogy of who?
Shem.
Right after that. Y'all get it?
Yes, sir.
Because Shem literally means the splitting of the languages. Y'all see what I'm saying?
Wow.
This stuff wild, man. This stuff is wild. And we are descendants of Shem. That's where the promised seed birthed from. That's where Abraham came from. That's where Isaac, Yaakov. We specialize in splitting the waters. Yahuwah uses us to split the nations up, to scatter them abroad.
Right.
Like, that's our function. Like, that's who we are. We are separate also from all the waters. We are set apart. We are the Kodesh seed. The Kodesh nation is separate from all the other nations. You have the nations that are the Shamaim, and then you have the nations that are in the seas, above the firmament and below. And remember, the Most High didn't say it was through until he gathered all the waters together below.
Right.
And let dry land appear.
Right.
And when the dry land appeared, it appears what? Above the sea, just like oil.
Right. That's right.
Hallelujah.
When the dry land, when he gathered the seas below the firmament, the land came up and appeared just like oil rises up when they try to mix it with water.
That's right.
Oh man, this is wild, man. Yahuwah is amazing. Yahuwah is amazing. All right. So, y'all know this. We talked about this before. The word Adam is a compound word. See if anybody remembers that. What's the compound word of Adam? What do we see there? Not leadership. No. Go ahead. Juliana. Oh, you changed? Go ahead, Jay. Yeah, that's close. That's close. That's not it, though. It's a compound word. It means there's two words in there. Anybody else? Okay. So, you have Ed or Aleph Dalet. That means mist or water. Okay? Then you have the word Dalet Mem. That's Dam. That means blood. So you see water and blood is in the word Adam. Water and blood. The word Adam comes from the Hebrew word Adama. which means the ground or the land. So read Genesis 2, 6 through 7 real quick. Go to Genesis 2 real quick. We're almost done, y'all. Just hold on.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 6. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground.
That's the word mist is Aleph Dalid. That's the word mist. That's what you saw right there in that verse. Okay? Keep going.
Verse 7. And Yahuwah Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
And that word, go ahead.
And man became a living being.
So that's Adama, the ground, Adama. So that's why we know that Adam is about the ground, it's about the earth. Adam comes, when he says son of Adam, that's saying a lot. Because we know the word Adam comes from Adama, which means the ground, the land, the earth. Adam comes from a compound word, which is Aleph Dalet, mist, and Dalet Mem, blood, water and blood. You saw that even when you read Genesis 2 just now, in verse 6 through 7, that water came on the ground first. Then that's how Yahuwah made man out of the dust of the ground. I always thought he made man out of like dust, but no, it was water in the dirt. So Adam was literally made like the potter and the clay. Now that the whole prophecy about the potter and the clay makes more sense. Because Adam was created with water and dirt. He was made from clay. He was made from clay. Like Jay's talked about how it also means red. Yeah, that word also is related to the Hebrew word for the color red. So, you know when the scriptures talk about the red heifer, or when the scriptures talk about Adam, no, they talk about David, King David. The scriptures say he was ruddy.
Right, ready.
That's Adama or Adami or something like that. It's the same. It's based from the same word. It's based from Adam. So it's red, but it's red in the form, in the terms of like clay. Or when the scriptures talk about the red heifer, how you have to have the red heifer, the sacrifice in order for the consecration of the priest. That's not red like blood red or crayon red. It is red like blood red. But it's not red like crayon red. It's red like clay. Adama. We also have Gaal Hadam.
Right.
Gaal Hadam, Redeemer of blood. But we also know that Dalet Mem Dam is associated with the ground as well, right? Because that's the same letters that's in Adama. Dalet Mem, that's the same word letter that's in Adama. Aleph Dalet Mem Hey, right? What this is showing is also being a redeemer of blood is associated with being a redeemer of land. In Leviticus 25, when it goes into the Jubilee, when it talks about redeeming land after the 50 years. Y'all remember that in Jubilee in Leviticus 25? It goes into the scriptures about redeeming land after 50 years. You get your ancestral land back. When you read Leviticus 25, right after it goes into redeeming land, do y'all remember? It goes right into redeeming people.
Right. That's right.
In the same chapter. Literally right after it goes into about Jubilee and redeeming and getting your ancestral land back, then it has all these scriptures that's trying to tell you about what you need to do to redeem. It says stuff like, if your brethren is poor and it ends up having to go into captivity by their neighbor, then he can be redeemed. It goes into redeeming people. It's showing you that the redeeming of land is associated with the redeeming of people. It's about redeeming. The redeeming of land is about the redeeming of blood are associated with each other, y'all. They go hand in hand. And it makes sense because we are made out of the land. Adama, son of Adam. The land was so important to Yahuwah that he even separated the seas. He pressed the seas so that what? Dry land can appear. That's the symbolism of the splitting of the seas all throughout the scriptures. It's about pressing the nations. It's about subduing the heathen. It's about separating them so that the son of Adam can be revealed. The son of man can be revealed. Dry land can be appear so that dry land can be revealed. So what I'll do is, let's skip some of this. Let's go to Numbers 4, with me, bar chapter 4. Everybody there? Okay, let's get it.
Verse 1.
Yes, sir.
Numbers chapter 4, verse 1. Then Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and Aharon, saying, take a census of the sons of Kohath from among the children of Levi, by their families, by their father's house, from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who entered the service to do the work in the tabernacle of meeting. This is the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of meeting, relating to the most Kodesh things. When the camp prepares to journey, Aharon and his sons shall come, and they shall take down the covering veil and cover the ark of the testimony with it. Then they shall put on it a covering of badger skins, and spread over that a cloth of entirely of blue.
Oh, stop. So, we're talking about a transition time. So when they were in the wilderness, they never could stay in the same place too long. So Yahuwah gave them instructions on what to do and when to transition. And the most Kodesh things, this is talking about the Ark of the Covenant. So the Ark of the Covenant, in verse 6, what does it say you should do to the Ark of the Covenant when it's time to move?
Put a covering of badger skins.
So I don't, that Hebrew word, they don't really know what it's probably not badger skin. I don't know if they have badgers out in that region. But it's skin, that's the point. It is some sort of skin. I submit that symbolizes like skin. And what do you spread over that?
A cloth of entirely blue.
That word for blue, yeah, y'all see? That's the blue that you're supposed to put in the seats. That's the blue that's on all the garments of the priests, etc., etc. It's tekelet. Oh, man. Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I forgot to put the breakdown in here. But it's about, you can see it though. Man, because it's the covenant on both sides. It's about the covenant. And yeah, the blessings of the shepherd, the hand of the shepherd, or the covering of the shepherd. And you see it surrounded by the covenant though. And I have to pray y'all to get the specifics. But y'all see covenant all in the word for Torah blue or tekelet. It's about the covering of the shepherd or the blessings of the shepherd. Which is interesting because we just talked about covering today. The Most High even brought that out earlier in the word about how the Akil are all covered. That's interesting. But the point is when it's time to move, when it's time to transition, they cover the Kodesh things in a tekelet covering. Let's keep reading.
Verse 7. On the table of showbread they shall spread a blue cloth.
You see this? The Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, keep going.
And put on it dishes, the pans, the bowls, and the pitchers for pouring.
Skip to verse 9.
Verse 9. And they shall take a blue cloth and cover the lampstand of the light.
Man, even the menorah, y'all see this? Covered in the word, covered in the Torah, covered in the word. Verse 11, read that.
Verse 11. Over the golden altar they shall spread a blue cloth.
Even on the golden altar, y'all, they cover it with techelet. Skip to verse 15.
Verse 15. And when Aharon and his sons had finished covering the sanctuary and all the furnishings of the sanctuary, when the camp is set to go, then the sons of Kohath shall come to carry them. But they shall not touch any Kodesh thing, lest they die.
Lest they what?
Lest they die.
So, it protects the people doing the work from dying by mishandling the Kodesh things of Yahuwah. The covering of the blue covers you, covers those who are doing the work from being killed by touching the Kodesh things of Yahuwah. Do not touch my anointed, the gold vessels. The only people that are allowed to touch those are Aaron and his sons. So when it's time to move, they have to do special things to cover them, so that the people doing the work won't die. If anybody from the sons of Aaron, they forgot to cover one of the Kodesh things with the techelet and the skins and the things like that. Oh man, I was busy, I forgot, I had some sort of excuse. And it's time to move, and one of them sons of Kohath come, die on the spot. We know that because it happened later on during the days of David, right? David wasn't thinking, and they were just happy to get the ark back, and they just put it on a regular cart, just exposed the Ark of the Covenant. And we're just rolling it. Ain't had a blue covering on it, ain't had nothing on it. And one of the guys touched it and died for that. All right, let's look at this. Numbers 4, Bamidbar chapter 4, verse 47. Go ahead and read this, Benayahu.
Yes, sir. Numbers chapter 4, verse 47. From 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, everyone who came to do the work of service and the work of bearing burdens in the tabernacle of meeting.
All right. Everybody who came to do the work of service. That's abad. That's rooted in abad. Abada, I believe so. That's basically everyone who came to serve. Everyone who came. So abad basically is about serving. It's about working. It's also used for like servant, like slave in a sense. Remember when like Apostle Paul, he'll start off his letters by saying, "My name is Apostle Paul. I'm a bond servant or a slave to Yahushua."
Right.
Like when you look at the Greek, it's really saying slave.
Right.
But they would kind of lighten it up by saying bond servant, but it means the same thing. Because this is what he's saying. We're reading is about the work that the Levites do. The work that the priesthood does, the Levitical Levites. Their job was to be servants. They were servants of Yahuwah. Everyone who came to abide. That's who they were numbering. That's who they were counting. That's who they were numbering. And the numbering, the word number there is like it's to pakad, to visit. From 30 years old to 50 years old. Everyone who came to serve and do the work of, and that's the same word. It's abad. And the work of bearing burdens. I believe. Let me make sure. Pretty sure that's both abad. Verse 4. Let me make sure. I don't take a chance on being wrong. Yeah, abad, right? Yeah. So the root word is abad, it's to serve like a slave, told out for confirming. From 30 years old and above and to 50 years old, everyone who came to do the work of service and the work of bearing burdens in the tabernacle of meeting, those who were numbered, those who were accounted for, those who were visited, pakad. Remember we talked about that earlier. Those who were numbered, pakad, visited, were 8,508. Were 8,508, 80. So the Levites who were numbered to serve, to do the work, to be servants of Yahuwah, like Paul, the numbering was 8,580 total. So you have 8, that's eternity, that's the covenant, that's the ark, right?
Right.
The 8 symbolizes a new beginning, it symbolizes the ark because that's why there were 8 people on the ark.
Right.
To start over, it's about starting over. Then you have 5 in the middle. 5 is about what? Jubilee, redemption, resurrection. Y'all got it. 858. 858. So what this is showing, this is associating the tabernacle work, the service, the work that they had to do when it was time to transition. It's associating this with the ark. It's associating this with Jubilee, with redemption, with getting your land back, with redeeming the bloodline. 5, Jubilee, getting your land back, redeeming the bloodline. The list goes on and on and on. 858. That's who we're numbered. Those who are doing the work, it's about making it on the ark. Let's keep going. Go to chapter 5, almost done. You really got to have a mindset to serve. That's what this priesthood is about. Abad. Serve. Working for Yahuwah. Okay, now I remember what I was going. Oh, praise you. Wish I got it in here. I'm gonna go ahead and go there before we go to chapter 5. No, we're not going to go there yet. I forgot. Let me wait. Let's go to Numbers 5 first. Start with verse 1. Let's get it.
Numbers chapter 5, verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe.
That's how you know that Numbers 4 is about the ark, because look what we go. That was the end of Numbers 4 we were just read. That was literally the last verse of Numbers 4. Well, right at the end, almost at the last verse. That was verse 47 out of 49. And now we're going into chapter 5. So, 47 to 48, there's 49 verses in chapter 4. They told you it was 858 is the amount of people to do the work. Now we're going to chapter 5 and look what it starts off, verse 1.
Numbers chapter 5, verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, command the children of Israel that they put out of the camp every leper, everyone who has a discharge,
What?
and whoever becomes defiled by a corpse.
Oh, so it starts right off after chapter 4 saying you need to put out anybody who can defile the assembly. A leper is basically symbolic of just straight outright iniquity. That's what the leper is symbolic of. Straight, just willing iniquity. We know that leper is, we done studied leprosy before. It's symbolic of sin. We know that, but not just any sin. Just willing iniquity, outright iniquity. We all agree, we all understand that?
Yes, sir.
Then it says everyone who has a discharge. A discharge is basically those who are sinning in their heart. That sin in your heart, but it's going to come out. It oozes out. A discharge happens when there's something inside of you that's infected. It'll manifest as a discharge. You got some wounds that you didn't heal right. Now you got a discharge. Remember, Yahushua said it's not what comes in the body that defiles you, it's what comes out of the body that defiles you. He was talking to the Pharisees, he was talking to people that knew Torah. That's why he was bringing that up, because he's talking about the law surrounding the discharges. I think it's Leviticus 18. No, Leviticus 14, something like that. Where it goes into all the different discharges, and we know that, all the different ones that you can have and how to make you unclean and the things you got to do in order to be clean again. Some of the things are natural, we know that. Some discharges are natural. But Yahuwah said even with the natural discharges, you got to be put out the camp for set apart time, and then you can re-enter. But you have to first be washed with water. You got to do certain things, and you can re-enter. So some discharges are natural. Some things will enter into your heart. You don't have control over, but you got to cast it out though. You're going to deal with some things that you just got to cast out. You got to be washed by the water of the word. Okay, keep going. Oh, and whoever becomes defiled by a corpse, what does that sound like? You can be defiled by who you hang around with. You can be defiled by who you are spending your time with. You can be defiled by when you're around dead people all the time. They can defile you. It can rub off on you. You live in your ear to a corpse every day. That can defile you. Why are you living in your ear to someone you know is dead? You spending hours on the phone with somebody you know is dead. Ain't no ruach in this person. And you on the phone with them for hours, letting them speak to you. You are Kodesh, oil and water. You can be defiled by a corpse, and that can cause you to miss out on the kingdom. So it starts off with saying, put out everybody, all these people who do this stuff. In verse 3, what else?
Numbers chapter 5, verse 3. You shall put out both male and female. You shall put them outside the camp, that they may not defile their camps in the midst of which I dwell. And the children of Israel did so.
What did they do?
They did so.
Oh, so they wasn't like, well, but this one right here is cool. No. They're not playing, man. They know it's transition time. Remember, he's telling them what to do when it's time to transition. That was in all chapter 4. Keep going.
And put them outside the camp. As Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, so the children of Israel did.
I didn't realize how much this was in the scriptures until we started experiencing this stuff ourselves. I'm like, man, this is all throughout the scriptures. Read verse 5. Let's go. Keep going.
Verse 5. Then Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel. When a man or woman commits any sin that men commit in unfaithfulness against Yahuwah, and that person is guilty, then he shall confess the sin which he has committed. He shall make restitution for his trespass in full. plus 1/5 of it.
Plus what?
Plus 1/5 of it.
Remember that number 5, that number 5. Remember that number 5. Restoration. It's about giving people back stuff that was stolen. So that makes sense that when you're giving restitution, it needs to be plus 1/5. Look at the numbers. When Yahuwah brings out specific numbers, it's for a reason. It's about restoring things that were taken, restoring things that were taken unfairly. It's about things being restored to the rightful owners. If you steal something from somebody, you got to give it back to them plus 1/5.
Right.
See, in Hebrew, in English is different. When we think about 500, 5,000, it's very different. But in Hebrew, the words are all Hamashi. I think 5 is Hamashi and 50 is Hamashim or something. You know, all of it's still rooted in Hamashi, all those words. That's why they all, they all have symbolism. You can get the same meaning. But anyway, you give it to the one who was wrong. Verse 8, let's go.
Verse 8. But if the man has no relative to whom restitution may be made for the wrong, then the restitution for the wrong must go to Yahuwah for the priest.
Oh, it should go where?
To Yahuwah for the priest.
So, if there was some land that was stolen, and the nearest of kin is not able to receive that restitution. The restitution word that's repent, that's shuv. So if the repentance ain't able to happen because they're not around anymore, then it goes to who?
Yahuwah.
It goes to Yahuwah how?
Priest. Or the priest.
Because this is a priesthood. This is a priesthood, and the things that are stolen, if they gotta go back, and if the people who's supposed to go back to are not around, then it goes to the priest. Goes to Yahuwah. Keep on.
In addition to the ram of the atonement with which atonement is made for him. Verse 9. Every offering of the Kodesh things of the children of Israel, which they bring to the priest, shall be his. And every man's Kodesh things shall be his. Whatever any man gives the priest shall be his.
Rebirth of a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.